my evening, sometimes brand new shit, some say, like, it's wrong. So, it's just into the studio like I was busting and what? So that promoting just got something like just a purple. Sonic waves, brings the days in the sunlight haze. You to be alive. I still survive. It's when you surround you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Ain't That Right. I'm your host, the Duncan Dad, here from Studio DD, getting ready to make our trek across the state because that's right. We will be going. Keep going, G. Keep going, G. We like when he jumps in. I talked to Garrett the other day and doing well. Kids are great. Tour is running smooth as it possibly could be. Be sure to check them out. You can go to glove.com and just patronize, get some good music in you, find something fun to listen to. It's always a great little experience when you get to, reconnect with some old friends and, really do a little inventory because life changes, things evolve. And I was saying, we're headed out west, not, to be a cowboy like Kid Rock and all that, but um, we are actually going out to Pittsburgh for the NFL draft and everything that comes along with the draft because the draft is a lot of fun. We did it last year in Green Bay. We figured why not do it again, right? So it got me thinking, how can I expand upon our conversation that we had last year in regards to the draft, right? And we talked about drafting people into our lives and drafting people as we progress through the different courses, different areas, and different aspects of our life. Sometimes these are acquaintances, relationships, positions that we put ourselves in. And I thought to myself, it's so much more than just that. Like that's the next step. The next step is that, the draft in the Super Bowl, specifically, the NFL uses it as this huge community outreach platform, which is really cool. And it ties totally into what we do with the three Gs with DD. It's like this big unified message coming from this gigantic entity that has so much sway, so much power, so much movement in what we do, not only as fans, but as people. I mean, we look behind us, right? Like, we're regaled with all the memorabilia. We take on and represent and reflect and give back a lot of what these teams embody, what they stand for, and what these communities stand for, and what they're all about, right? It builds on the idea that daily impact and your responsibility helps to shape not only your community's identity, but your own identity. So the concept, it evolves out to being a older, wiser, more mature individual than we were last year, right? We talked about tax season. We talked about maybe making some changes. Like you paid your taxes, you put your time in, you had your dues, and now what am I going to draft? Like what do I need to draft into me? What do I need to bring into my world? What do I need to let go? Do I need to trade some picks away? Do I need to maybe give up some of these resources and go and get something that is established, a veteran, right? That's the word, the real world application. And it's not just the sports event, right? It is this proverbial mirror acting in real time that shows us like how and what we choose, how we adapt, how we evaluate, and how we invest back into ourselves, back into the communities that surround us. It becomes the purpose that guides what we do every single day, right? Growth, grace, giving back. It's a blueprint then for how we live out that day. Because if I draft something and I choose to invest in this and I choose to relate a certain way and I choose to involve myself in whatever capacity, I'm actively choosing to be a part of that. There's yeah, 3G is not the three seashells, Harry. That's right. Going back, shout out to B Dub out there. Um, but it's important, right? Like because you're drafting for your future, not just this moment. You have definite needs in this present tense that you need to address, right? And we just did our tax, our reflection, and it follows great because if you're honest with yourself, you're open, you've taken this full inventory, you see where you give and come back, etc. Now I've got needs, right? That there's holes that need to be filled, there's things that need to be let go, and this is what our personal draft is all about, right? We don't draft a player specifically right now on this instant that's going to change something. We hope it develops into that, unless we trade away some other assets and some other resources, right? We're choosing and changing for something that we're going to become the same way that we looked at it when we did our evaluation. Like this was good. I thought it was going to be like that, but now I got to go to that next level. But just like the draft pick, you have to evaluate your own potential, evaluate your own character, evaluate your own coachability and credibility, and seeing if what you're doing, the position that you're putting yourself in, if that's going to be a good long-term fit. Because we're past the point, shout out to Rick Marcus down there, afternoon DD. We're past the point where we know what's going on. We know what's happening. We've convinced ourselves. We thought maybe we could keep going to the well in our jobs, in our relationships, in our exercise programs, in the way that we spend. And it's just not yielding where we want to be. Right? Like, well, what's the life application, Dunk? Like, where is it working? Where is it not working? Okay, now we have a good blueprint, right? We do the same thing with people and our habits and opportunities that we draft into our lives. And we're doing this all the time. The problem that we run into is, again, and this is the paradox, that is, humanity to a point. Our hearts will see something that our mind knows isn't there, right? We will do a lot of things on potential and a lot of things we will keep doing on the hopes that miraculously things will just change or get better when you can clearly see that's not the case. It could be on you, it could be on them, it could be on the organization, it could be on any bit. But you don't want to draft people who just please you. Like if you put yourself in a situation where it's constant contentment and there's no action and there's no movement and there's no maturity factor, it's nice to have a yes man. It's nice to have a yes woman. It's nice to have a yes they, he, and she. Like that's all nice. But at some point, your best friend, the ones who really hold your feet to the fire, the ones that call you out on things, that's where you're growing. That's where you're actually going to take that next step. So when you go back again and do that tax return, you're not like, oh crap, same crap, different year. What happened? Right? You want to be around and you want to incorporate people in your life, places, things, activities that stretch you mentally. You want to say physically, if that's what you're going after, go after it. It's great, But you want to be in the process of the growth, not just the ones that are, oh, it's nice and easy to push over. You can have them, sure. Right? Everybody's got those, right? But you're drafting in habits that are going to be better than last year because you're building for a better version of yourself. And again, quote McConaughey, right? Like you're never going to get to that perfect version of yourself. So you need to get to a point where you are happily content with movement. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy anything, right? You're chasing in, you're chasing in, you're chasing in, you're chasing, and you're like the damn hamster on the wheel. And it's like, come on, you know what I mean? Like, what are you going to do with that? And Rick brings up a great point. You have an all pro, all time tackle, Lane Johnson, right? The Eagles are sitting there looking ahead, and what do? Right? Are they going to go ahead and draft a replacement for Lane Johnson? Are they going to bring someone else into the fold? Are they going to run it back one more time? Like, where do they sit? after they've done their evaluations, after they've seen his performance, after they've seen the comeback, after they've seen the injuries, after they've totaled up everything. Like they're drafting not out of this convenience, like, oh, we're gonna fill that spot, he's gonna be there. Just go grab somebody to plug and play. If we spend that pick and we're drafting for the future, and that person's going to be there to pass along some of those resources, some of those assets, and teach, then maybe that's the direction that we need to go. Or do we need to go to the defensive side of the ball? Do I need to do something in my life that's going to help insulate me from some of these offensive attacks that the world is going to throw my way, some of these hurdles that the world is going to throw in my way, right? We hear it all the time around the draft, and we give a pass a lot of times because talent always supersedes maybe some things that aren't that great. But you'll see that the quality organizations, and this is nothing against those guys and nothing against those girls. Like I'm not saying that we don't have those moments, Murphy button, Saul moment, conversion moment, all that kind of stuff. But you're drafting people into your life, into your teams based on identity, how they fit. Do they have the same discipline and values that you have? Do they hold themselves to the same standards? Because you can coach up talent, coaching up character, coaching up someone's integrity. That's tough to do. So if you're able to circumvent that by starting off on the right foot, just like in life, you put yourself, ahead of the eight ball a little bit because you can genuinely focus on the meat and potatoes or the tofu and broccoli. Whatever way you're going to go about it, if you're in those positions where you've sort of identified, now we can get to the heart of the matter, right? We can actually get down to our growth. Yeah, this is going to be difficult. Yes, it's going to be an awkward conversation. Yes, it's going to take time. Yes, it's going to take money, George Harrison. But I'm willing to do it. They're willing to do it. The entity's willing to do it. Let's go for it. Not just, well, it looks good. Hopefully it works out. Shiny, shiny car. It's awesome. How many times have we seen college prospects be touted as the second coming, and they are nothing like that? Because it's not just about the flash and what you see on the tape, right? It's about the whole picture and the whole person. And a lot of times when we meet people, when we interact, when we network, when we communicate, when we go to all these fancy events, when you are introduced, initially there's this awe of like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic. It's going to work out. It's perfect. He's the best boss in the world, greatest organization in the world. It's going to be so easy. Da, da, da. And then, you get behind the scenes and the actual expectations are there. And we have this in relationships. We have this in our own jobs. We have this in how we hold ourselves to certain standards. But draft day specifically, even though it always starts out with these are the prescribed picks. We got the McShays, we got the Kuipers, we got the down John Miles, like everybody and their brother. This is the fit, this is the fit, this is the fit, boom, boom, boom. But it's real time, chaotic change. It is. Why? Because somebody makes a trade that you didn't see coming. Somebody takes your player off the board. You find something out last minute. Somebody doesn't get off a sidewalk in Athens, Georgia for whatever reason. Plans change, boards shift, needs in that moment evolve. The Eagles are most likely going to trade their number one receiver after the June 1st deadline. We talked about this ad nauseum on a couple of the other programs because it makes business sense to do that. You've got to prepare for that on the hope that that's going to get done on the backside. So, how do you go about that? How do you set yourself up in good position? This is one of the lines where you parallel to your own life and say, well, I can see things coming. I can read the writing on the wall. But if I put my blinders up and I just keep my head down, I'm not going to know when it's going to hit me. And when it hits me, I guess I'll figure it out when it hits me. That's not how you want to draft. That's not how you want to live out your days. Like, I'm not saying you got to be, doomsday prepper, but you should have some contingency plans in place. Have people like, oh, why do you do that? That undercuts what everything that you're doing. No, because first and foremost, your own self sufficiency, emotionally, mentally, physically, relationship wise, like if you're no good to yourself, there's no way you can be better for the whole and the entity. And when you begin to put yourself above that consistently without the recognition, without the realization, without the giving back to that which is sustaining you, that's when you start to have all these kind of issues because nothing's clear, nothing's communicated, right? The I gets bigger than the we. Well, you just said 2 seconds ago, don't that you got to worry about the I. You do have to worry about the I, but the I is constantly evolving to put yourself in a good position to be the best version of yourself. So you're being challenged by those people around you and wanting to grow. And if it means, okay, we got to cut ties, we got to move on. Hey, this role doesn't fit anymore. You need to move up to this managerial position. You need to do X, Y, and Z. Let's have that talk. Let's do it. But I'm mature enough to do it. You're mature enough to do it. And no one's going to B and C about it. No one's going to blow horns. No one's going to gaslight. No one's going to be the whistleblower and cause and drama. We just have a conversation, right? So you're drafting because you have to trade out old versions of yourself. You have to acquire new tools in order to grow, right? We have grace. Grace is our ability. We're adapting as we're going through all these changes. It's not your weakness. It's your flexibility. It's your faith. It's everything that ties you to move on. Sometimes you have to draft and trade out something that isn't necessarily number one on your board, but it meets a higher goal. Man, I'd really like to get this receiver. Man, best talent. Let's go after. But you know what? I really need that all pro right tackle to be there for me the next 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons. So right now, having this little bit of juice up front, is it good? Yeah, it's good. Does it meet some needs? Sure, it does. Long term, I don't know. That's the hard truth. Because any time that you grow, any time that you change, any time that you evolve, any time that you draft, it's difficult and it's going to cost you something. It's going to cost you your first pick. It's going to cost you your second pick. Think about that in your life when you relate to decisions that you made. If you could go back and change a relationship, a career direction, travel plans, whatever it is, people will always say, oh man, I wouldn't change anything because that leaves me who I am today, blah, blah, blah. If you could redo something, knowing how it evolved and what happened, yes, you'd be a completely different person. But so you make a second pick, and you make a third pick, and you make a fourth pick, and so on and so on and so on. And you're constantly choosing through your life, knowing that it's going to cost you something, but you're going to be full and whole as an individual because your prayer practices, your daily disciplines, and you have the ease and the grace to go through it without the resentment. Because there's nothing worse than being forced to make a choice or forced to be in a particular time, place, situation, whatever it is. Because then you're just like, I'm just completely autonomous. I'm a robot. This sucks. Doing it for the greater good. Blah, 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 blah. Blow smoke up my butt. Like there's a line, right? There's a line between being, a martyr and being noble and being right and being just and being, committed to facing the hard truth that, you know what? Okay. I lived and I learned and I've got to move on. This career choice wasn't the right one for me. And Yes, we play with that wonderful element of time, great equalizer, but yet the freedom that comes along with the hard choice and the hard truth is freeing. And individuals will say, I wish I would have done this sooner. I wish I would have had more years to do that. But those 4 or 5 years, that this small amount of time is fulfilling me. We have our Super Bowl window because we went ahead and made that difficult decision and made that choice. Draft, high profile event, Super Bowl, high profile event, your life every single day. You're the CEO. It's a high profile event. So you're bringing everything that surrounds you into this moment. The NFL chooses to highlight charities, youth camps, hospitals, food drives, veterans. It's about embracing the culture that's around you and also where you've drafted, what you have drafted in your own life, the position that you put yourself in. Yes, we know about the socioeconomic positions. Yes, we know about all those things. Murphy button it today, but where you put yourself, what you involve yourself with, who you involve yourself with. There you go. That's what you're drafting into your life. That's your choice. You make these picks, these choices every single day. Some are greater than others. There's always a cost associated with it. Sometimes there's a reward associated with it, which is great. There's your trade off. But living that every single day, that's how you're giving back. Because remember, you can give back in a negative way. You can be enabling someone to keep being this individual that they are. You could be the piece that is enabling a specific organization to keep doing what they're doing. Why? Because you're just falling in line. And you know that maybe it should change. You know it should be different. But what you do, how you act, how you respond, that's your personal highlight tape. That's your tape. Oh, when it hit the fan, B Dub was like that. When it hit the fan, Rick was like that. That's, come on. Like, these are very real things in your life, and they will be used to highlight you or they'll be used to pull you down. It will definitely impact your own draft grade. So when someone looks at you, they're gonna be like, you know what, dunk guy's cool, but yeah, you know what, don't want that. Or conversely, I will do anything within my power in order to align with this because it's going to help propel this entire unit to grow and to go forward. How do we turn this draft framework into a daily ritual? How do we make it a priority practice? How do we incorporate that particular mindset into our day to day? Because we always go through the day. We're making choices. We're putting ourselves in position. So let's have our personal draft room locked in. In the morning, when you wake up, when you choose to venture out, you ask yourself, we do it subconsciously. And if you're not doing it consciously and you're getting into this robot state, that's probably a good time to take a vacation, right? That's probably a good time to maybe actually use those mental health days. Why? Because you're drafting something into your life every single day, right? What do I need in my life today? What am I drafting today? Am I drafting errands? Am I drafting groceries? Drafting, good positive people? Am I drafting negativity? Am I wake up being an SOB? What do I need to cut out? Oh, I was up too late last night, man. Gotta get extra hours sleep tonight. Keep looking up and down my finances to see all these services, subscriptions, membership. I got to get rid of some of this stuff. That person keeps calling, and it's just like it's It's always a want. It's never a give. They're always involving me, wanting to involve me in something that I don't align with, I don't agree with. Have you expressed it to them? Okay. But you keep going back to the well. So you set your day up with your priorities, right? What do I want to do? Who am I drafting in? Who am I letting go? Where do I want to find myself? We hit lunchtime, all metaphorical because everybody eats lunch at a different time. But that's your trade out window. You see how your day is going, right? You get to the middle part of the day, this day's turning out to be okay. Things are lining up. I'm putting myself in good position, surrounding myself by good people. So is there anything I need to change right now today? Anything I need to adapt? Has anything popped up that I need to shift and move around things? Can I shift and move around things? Or am I caught in this particular place? Do I need to give myself a little bit more credit? Do I need to be a little more critical of myself? Do I need to take it easy on the people around me? Because after all, I've chosen to put myself in that spot. Well, Doug, you don't know who you work with. You're right. I know who I work with, but I'm choosing to interact with them, choosing to engage with them, choosing to have this person as my partner. So maybe they're not having a good day. Maybe I need to pump the brakes a little bit. Maybe I need to be a little less crass and a little more understanding. Instead of a little amped up, I dial it back. As we get into our evening, we do a quick little inventory. Right? We all sit around and people come in after work and they're like, man, can't wait to sit down and have a glass of wine. Can't wait to sit down and put on my classical music, put my feet up, hit the scratch the vinyl, light up a cigar. Can't wait to come home and be with the family. Can't wait to come home, throw my gym shoes on, go take a run. Can't wait to journal. Can't wait to have just designated you time, constructive, positive you time. How many hours, how many minutes, how many days, how many months have been wasted stewing in your own thoughts because you're going to ask yourself, who did you serve today, right? There was always a great question when I was formation school, long, long time ago. And it was a quote, Aquinas, and they said, was today for the greater glory of you or the greater glory of God or the greater glory of others, etc. And it resonates because there are parts of your day that you 100% need to make about yourself to keep you on track, to keep you focused and following through. Those are good, wholesome, positive choices. But when opportunities were presented in your day where you could be of service to someone else and it didn't interfere with your actual function that was going on, happening in real time, maybe it was. Who did you serve today? Who did you reflect your grace out to? Like you're giving back. What did you give back today? Did you make life easier for people around you? Did you make the mood lighter in the building? Did you inspire other individuals? Did you listen? Did you learn? Did you give 100 legitimate percent of your functionality to whatever mission it is that you were undertaking? Because not, you're kind of selling yourself short. Do we need to do that sometimes? Yeah, we do. It's amazing because people will be like, oh, I give this 110% all the time, blah, 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 blah. And then you see these individuals and you're like, wow, they're top of the game and they're so head and shoulders above. And it's not that the other individual isn't giving their 100%. It's just that the quote unquote level that's been unlocked by these other individuals in all aspects, patience, understanding, love, etc. They're, they're tapping into something that you're aspiring to. Our three G's: growth, grace, and giving back. It's a rhythm, right? It's like the orchestra. It comes up, falls down, it builds, it breathes, it moves. Growth, drafting. We have to draft. We have to meet our needs. We have to do a conscious, honest, whole evaluation. Because when I'm growing, I'm building my future. Now, the ways that I grow, I can grow good, I can grow bad, I can take 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Opposites attract, Paula Abdul. What's up? The grace carries us through those times when I'm growing, but it's like, oh man, that was probably the wrong pick. But I've got to get through it now because I put myself in this position. All right, how am I going to do it? Am I going to be an a-hole? Am I going to, you know, throw everything, baby out with the bathwater, or persevere? I'm going to get through this and make the next pick because that unexpected stuff's going to come up. And our giving back is always the fact and the reminder that, yes, hot word nowadays, you're the mirror. You have a purpose. There's something bigger than you. There's something bigger than your position. You are affecting, touching, impacting individuals countless ways. Same for you. You come across situations, it affects you. It changes you. It makes you go back and say, I think this time coming up, I'm going to draft this way because I like how it's affected this person, place, or thing. And that's where you need to have the right character, the right integrity, the right common sense to make sure that those choices and those decisions are rooted in something good and whole and just and not out of vice. Every year when the NFL draft rolls around, I get reminded that, life and the whole thing is just, it's bigger than that football moment. Right? It's life changing for people. There are individuals who have struggled and overcome, and we highlight those stories because it makes us relate. It puts us in a position where it's like, that person got their back against the wall, or this person had everything at their fingertips and they've stayed humble and they've appreciated it and they've embodied it and they've taken on that responsibility. Because it's bigger than just being a prospect. It's bigger than just the picks. It's bigger than all the bright lights and the big stage. And believe me, if you've ever been to one of these events, holy cow, it is humongous. It is crazy how many people, places, things are coordinating in order to do something of this size. I've emails hourly, half hourly about updates, people, new positions, protocols, procedures, policies, public safety, concerts, celebrities, highlighting the community. Like it's humongous. But the draft, right? The draft week, everything that comes along with it. It's part of like my 3G masterclass. Growth, grace, and giving back. Because growth on our draft night, on round one, the lights are so bright. They're not choosing the player 10 years down the road, right? They're choosing this young talent, this new choice, hoping that 10-year down the road vision is what comes to fruition. They're choosing what we're going to become, where we're going to grow together. When I have a relationship and you have a relationship and I take a job and you take a job, we're not just looking at right now. Obviously, Murphy button, things to do in order to pay bills, time and place. But when we draft, we're not making this a minuscule decision. I'm drafting my career. I'm going and taking this course because I want to be the best teacher, writer, doctor, lawyer. But that individual who I am walking on day one is going to be completely different than the graduate in 4 years or 6 years or 8 years. They're betting, and you're betting to grow on what? Character, unseen work, integrity, discipline, commitment. It's a reminder, right? It reminds us that every single day we are drafting people, habits, priorities, and standards into our life. We are. There's no way around it. And people are like, oh, they're just little decisions. No, like you're putting yourself in that spot. Last year when we did this, we talked about people. It was very people centric because it hit. Because we knew right away. You're drafting discipline. You're drafting a version of yourself that you want to become and be better. We did our taxes. Now I'm going to draft these habits that are actually going to make it a reality. Is it going to be work? Yep. Is it going to suck some days? Yes. Are there going to be hurdles that come my way? Yes. But am I going to draft the version of myself down the line that I'm really committed to becoming? Or is it just pie in the sky fun, hopes and dreams, sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns? Love all those things. It's like the extra jimmies, on your Sunday. But why I say that's because your life's roster, everything that makes it up, is only going to be as strong as the values, the daily disciplines, the priority practices that you not only protect, but that you embody. All right, some days be good, some days may be shit, right, Gennaro? Like, I get it. And that's why when we have those personal failures, when we have those days where we let ourselves down, it kind of sucks. Because, like, man, no. And look what it caused. Now I've got to work twice as hard. Now I got to see this many people. Now I got to recoup all these resources. And you're not left with a positive impression of what you've done because you've kind of let the guard down on some of these areas. Will it happen from time to time? Sure. But you want to be in a position where you're not playing catch up or recovering or constantly drafting and drafting and drafting and drafting and drafting. Or guess what? Sorry to throw you under the bus, you'd be the New York Jets. I mean, you do get something good that comes your way. You won't know how to treat it. And then you'll trade it away for what? More picks, more opportunities, more grass greener on the other side. And guess what? Keep on picking because that's the standard that you set. Our grace component, like life, draft day trades, plans, needs, unexpected health concerns, unexpected financial issues, unexpected relationship, and the way that they play out. It happens fast, they change. You can't anticipate fully all of these things happening. You can plan a little bit for it, but until it actually happens, and one of the greatest teachers in the world, experience, and we've all been there, all have done that, unless you are going through it, you don't know how you're going to respond. And that's where the grace comes in, because life works the same way as draft day. Sometimes you have to trade away comfort for growth. I'd really like to do this. I'd really like to be here. I really not do X, Y, and Z, but in order to get through it, I've got to do this. Trading away that old version of yourself, the comfortable, content, lazy version of yourself. And you're going to piss some people off. That's when you're going to get to what's going on? What are you doing? Why are you changing? Are you better than us? You're not the same. Thank you. I don't want to be the same. I want to evolve. And you should want me to evolve too. Because we're going the same place, right? It's what allows us to go through all these changes without being an a-hole, without losing our character, without compromising our integrity, without selling out. It's the humility to pivot when life out there is like, hey, guess what? Try this. And you're like, oh, okay. And last and certainly not least, giving back. We highlight all these events that happen, all these outreach programs during these events. Give back to the community. Youth camps, hospitals, foods. We talked about this. Military appreciation. It's about affirming and reaffirming this this culture that you're building for yourself, because you have a roster. You're drafting players, you're drafting habits, you're drafting disciplines, priority practices. Hopefully, you put yourself in a position where your organizational side of that roster and what you do for your career and relationships, you're building the culture. When we come back to these dream teams, these teams that are put together and they defy odds, or they actually live up to every expectation and then some. The first thing that we always hear about is the culture. The culture can look different. It could be gritty. It could be childlike. It could be understanding. It could be type A. But the culture is what is given off, is what's reflected. It's the definition. Whatever your platform is, wherever you're at, wherever you find yourself, whatever the size is, whether you like it or not, you are performing some service, good or bad. Your kindness, the way that you interact, the way that you address, the way that you connect and network, that builds your own personal draft portfolio. It's your scouting report. And everything that we do in conjunction with that gives us a grade. Are they on time? Are they consistent? Are they willing to work? Are they understanding? Are they empathetic? Are they sympathetic? Do they know when to take charge? Do they know when to listen? Do they know when to be open and emotional and caring and loving? Other times when they know they need to step up and defend and stand on principle. You're making yourself into this player, this entity. Yes, the lonely period between the old crowd and the new crowd. Very true. Very true. There's a lot that happens in life, um, especially if you've been, in long-term relationships, or you decide to move, you decide to reintroduce yourself after a period of time, and you'll see in a very small sample size how people grow and draft and evolve, and it's constantly in flux. The same person that you've seen a handful of times here, when you make the U-turn and come back, they're probably really, really different. And where we struggle sometimes, and we've talked about this on prior programs, is that, everyone is evolving and growing and making changes in their life at different speeds. However, the impression that we have of these individuals, organizations, relationships, etc., granted, you've been in a relationship and organizations and things, go sideways, but 9 times out of 10, you have that understanding of, like, that's who that person is, etc., etc. And to see it in a different light is very difficult. However, the world loves to come in and instantaneously, because of a decision, because of a bad draft pick, because of a poor choice, because maybe you exhausted some resources doing something that you shouldn't have done, um, instantaneously you're back now behind that 8 ball. And that impression, that understanding is completely changed, even though you have years and years and years and years and years of, analytical, statistical data to back yourself up. That's not where you are right now. So the real question that you're asking yourself is, when you draft these people, place, things, habits into your life, as you've evolved, how has your player profile card evolved, right? How have you changed? How have you matured? How have you maybe gone backwards in some ways? Are you growing? Are you sharing? Are you showing grace? Are you giving back? Because the truth is, every single day is a draft day. Every day we're choosing who gets access to our life. You are. You decide who you text, the same way that they decide who they text. You decide who you call, where you go, what you do. You decide what habits you want to be. Hey, I'm going to get up and I'm going to drink my water. Or nope, I'm going to drink my beer. That's your choice. You're making a habit to your roster, how it's going to play out. Every day you're making trades. Some trades are easy. I'm not going to do that today. I'll pick it up tomorrow. I should do this today and tomorrow and the next day. And people be like, oh, well, that's really costly sometimes. And that can really affect the outcome of where you're going. And you might, alienate yourself. Well, if I'm really being honest with myself, yeah. And sometimes it starts small. And that's what we build upon. Because every single day we have a chance to impact the community, impact ourselves, the people around us, our circle, our family, our friends. And for whatever you want to take with it, that impact will outlive you. It will outlive the immediate people that you are interfacing with. Because if you ask anyone, think about a peer from, I don't know, your childhood. They're not around anymore. But someone can definitely tell me about grandpa so and so. Someone can definitely tell me about grandma so and so and how they were X, Y, and Z. So you're making an impact, not only now, but down the line. Life isn't always about that number one pick. We put a lot of pressure and a lot of emphasis on it. And yes, can it set us in motion for things that might not be the best things for us? Of course. But as we become more aware of who we are, where we are, where we want to be, who we want to be around with, who we want to be as an individual, etc., it's about making the right picks, the difficult picks, the ones that are costly, because it's about purpose, it's about the people, and it's about how we are going to interact with the world around us. and the example that we're setting that will be reflected long after we are gone. So as we head into the draft, and you'll see me popping up Thursday, be following along live as we're there in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh. Just remember, you have an opportunity to make a choice. You're drafting every single day. Give yourself a little bit of grace. Give yourself a little bit of clarity. Make the choice that is right for you, not only in the moment, which we understand needs, but hopefully make a choice that is good for you in the long run. And if it comes to a point where you need to trade something away that no longer serves your greater good or the other individual's greater good or the organization's greater good, then be mature enough to do so. Thank you guys for joining me on the program today. Ain't that right? The 3Gs with DD here on SR1029 The Game, the Coastal Sports Digital Network. Quick shout out, and I've gotta say it. Not a huge, I wasn't raised a Flyers fan, but kudos to those guys for doing so well. I know I'm going to get flack in the chat with it, but there's a long story about my parents and moving up north when I was a kid, and they didn't want to pay for Prism, so I kind of detoured. But anyway, it is what it is. Flyers looking really good. Anytime they can beat Pittsburgh, it's nice. I might purposely wear this black and orange Nike thing to Pittsburgh just because it'd be like a little representation of the Philadelphia side here. But I don't want to go too much because I don't want to be a poser because I'm not a poser. I've got an agreement with all of my old friends. This is a little insight that if things go really well, then I'm kind of at their disposal for whatever entails afterwards. So anyway, all right. Thanks for joining. A little TMI for my life, but look forward to seeing you guys. Please follow along the socials, though. Duncan Dad on X on Instagram. I will be posting as soon as I get to Pittsburgh, pick up everything we need to pick up, and begin to highlight everything that's going on out there. Big shout out to Gen Youth Now, going out to the Taste of the Draft. Shout out to Eric, shout out to Haley, shout out to everybody involved with that, Chef Andrew. Wonderful, wonderful event, always raising great awareness, financial resources, and student hunger and community hunger. It's a wonderful, wonderful program. If you have an opportunity, please go genyouth.org. Highly, highly recommend everything that they're doing. All right, guys, take care. I will see you in Pittsburgh.